Hey everybody, this is Mr. Steele coming to you with a new tutorial for the week. This tutorial is all about tropical fish and it's called My Pet Fish. So if you can have any type of fish, any type of tropical fish as a pet, what type of fish would it be? How would it look? How would you design it? What would it look like? Would it have a special name? Would it be a new fish that hasn't been discovered? So we have starfish, clownfish, we have swordfish, we have rainbow fish, we have all types of different fish in the ocean. So we're gonna draw them or draw one of them as your pet fish. And we will be using color complements to do so. And so I want to talk to you a little bit about what a color complement is and how to use those. I was inspired to do this project by a book called The Rainbowfish by Marcus Pfister. And there is a read aloud link that I have attached to this video tutorial in the comment section. So you can just click on that and you can listen to the book aloud. It's a really inspirational book about learning how to share and learning how to be happy with oneself. So go and look at that book and check it out before you do your project. All right, so we're gonna do a rainbow fish, and I tried to make this a little simple so you could draw it to your level. So if you are an older student, if you're in 5th grade and you want to draw a more realistic fish, by all means you can do that. And if you're one of my younger kids and you want to draw a realistic fish, that's fine too. But I drew a fish here with some color complements. So let's talk about color complements. When you have a color complement, you have the color wheel. So we talked about that. You have the red, you have your yellow, and you have your blue, which are your primary colors. And we talked about that in class. They're primary because they cannot be made by mixing other colors. So I have my red, yellow, and blue. Now, those 3 colors create the other colors on the spectrum. And they create the secondary colors, because primary means first. So secondary means second. So the red and the yellow would equal orange. And the blue and the yellow would equal green. And then the blue and the red would equal purple. And so I have that here. So I have 6 colors, and of course you can have more. Because if I mix the red with the purple, I will get reddish violet. If I mix the red with the orange, I'll get reddish orange. And those are your tertiary colors. Those are your 3rd colors in the spectrum. So you won't get into the tertiary colors today, but color complements basically are colors that are right across the street. They're across the street neighbors. So right across the street from red would be green. So if you look at that, if I drew an arrow, it's right across the street. And it's the right across the street neighbor. And so I call that a color complement. It complements that color. They look good together, red and green, which is why you see them a lot together during Christmas time. You also have blue and orange, which I always think about the Charlotte Bobcats, which were our basketball team before we got our Charlotte Hornets back. But their logo was blue and orange. And then that, of course, leaves us with purple and yellow, which reminds me of the Lakers. So if you're a sports fan, that reminds me of the Lakers. So I have the purple and the yellow across from each other. So anytime you use 2 opposite colors on the opposite end of the spectrum, it is a color complement. So in my case, I didn't use orange and blue, but I used orange and green, which again are still across from each other. So you have your orange on the warm side and you have your green on the cool side. So that's a split color complement. And that's what I use for mine. So fish. There are lots of different types of fish. And I found this little worksheet that has different types of fish on it. Blowfish on there, shark, and other different kinds of fish, or eel. So there are different types of fish. You want to keep everything very simple, basic shapes. You don't want anything, too crazy to start off with. So to draw the fish that I drew here, I just drew an oval for the body. So I drew an oval, and I wanted to draw that oval a pretty nice size for the paper. You don't want to, you want to leave some room at the top and the bottom for your fins, but it's just an oval. But I left room in the front for the mouth, the top and bottom, and the back for the fin. All right. And if you're doing a blowfish, you could do a circle. If you're doing an eel, you could do a longer oval. It doesn't have to be the same shape, but start with an oval type of shape, or whatever shape works well for your fish that you're drawing. Because remember, I want different types of fish, so any kind of fish you can do. So I just drew a triangle at the front of the fish, like this. And it looks pretty funny. And then I erased the oval where it overlapped the triangle. And of course, this is going to probably become, you can guess it, my lips. So from there, I drew 2 full lips that come from that triangle. And of course, if you don't want big lips like that, you don't have to have big lips like that, but I thought they were pretty cute. All right. So then I have an eye. Normally when you see the side of a fish, you only see one eye because you're looking at the profile. Profile means the side view of whatever you're drawing. So, and your eye could be any shape, any way you want to draw it. I just drew a circle with another little circle inside of it. And then you could put a small circle inside of that. So it gives that eye 3 layers. So circle with a semicircle with a small circle inside. Then I drew my fin. So I just drew 2 lines coming off of the fish. And now I'm going to connect those 2 lines with a wavy line. We talked about that, especially with my kindergartners. When we talked about line, we talked about the wavy lines. All right. And I repeat that step down at the bottom. Same thing down at the bottom. Draw 2 parallel lines. And then I just connected them with a wavy line. All right. And then I do my tail. My tail at the bottom is the same way. I kind of go out with 2 opposite lines there, kind of coming off the back of the fish. And then I connect those again with a wavy line that connects them. It's pretty simple. All right. So I just connected it there. And then I did my fin. And then all that's left to do is decide how my fish is going to look. Inside, in the book, the Rainbowfish had very pretty, shiny, shimmery scales that all the other fish admired, and they wanted to see his scales and wanted him to share his scales. So you could do some type of design or pattern with your scales, and they could be made up, friends. This is an imaginary fish. So if you want to do something that had zigzag lines, you could do that. If you want to do more wavy traditional scales, you could do that as well. But be creative. This is your fish. You don't have to follow some type of formula to draw a fish. There are different types of fish. If you want to look up how to draw a fish, you can do that as well. So I just did a series of wavy lines there. And then I'm going to do another set that offset that. So in between every other scale, I did another semicircle. All right. And then I just kept repeating that over and over and over again. I skipped over my fin. So you can see here where I'm just layering those scales. All right. Now, after I do that, I won't do this whole thing. I just wanted to kind of get that started. I looked into my handy dandy crayon box, crayon container. And I picked out 2 colors that I thought would look good together. And again, you want them on the opposite spectrum. So I know that purple and yellow go together, but I'm gonna pick like a golden yellow. So I want one that is a little bit more like a yellow that has a deep, rich orange undertone to it. So that's going to give me some good contrast because these 2 colors are color complements. And so as I color with them, what I really want to do, and especially if you have watercolor paints at home, is I just want to outline the fins or the pencil lines with the crayon. So I'll show you here where I'm outlining the pencil lines of my fish. Some parts you can color in. So like if I wanted to color in the lips, I could do that. So I'll show you how that looks. I could color in the lips. I could color in the face, maybe with the golden yellow. And you'll see how pretty that golden yellow looks up against that purple because they are color complements. And color complements look good right next to each other. Now they do clash if you mix them together to make a darker hue. But if you are just putting them side by side, they look really good together, okay? Now, once you get everything colored in, you'll have something that looks more along the lines of this. And as I showed you in one of my previous tutorials, you could take a paintbrush and you could take, if you have paint at home, and if you don't, you could just color it. That's fine too. But you could take a paintbrush and you could take some watercolor or acrylic paint or tempera paint, whichever one you have at home, and you could paint in, trying to see what color I want. You could paint in your fish, all right? I think I like my fish white, so I think I'm actually gonna paint in the seaweed in the background. I like the orange and the white contrast, but the seaweed I also outlined with green crayon, so that will allow me to paint inside of the green crayon, and it will not go wherever the crayon was. So the crayon kind of keeps it in place, and so it resists, it creates a crayon resist. All right, and so you can paint that in, you can paint your water in, you can paint your ground in, and if you want, you can paint your fish in. Now I chose not to because I like the colors that I chose. But you come up with something unique. Come up with something special. Send it in. Let me see it. I love seeing all the pop-up cards you guys made last week. I hope that if you made them for your mom or your teacher, they enjoyed them as well.